You can work with real number, or with imaginary numbers, the same that you can work with real numbers. We would say that real numbers, this would be an example. 5 would be a real number, square root 7 would be a real number, negative 3 would be a real number. An imaginary number would be like this, 3i. That would be a pure imaginary number. I would be a pure imaginary number. But if I put a real number and an imaginary number together, it's not a pure imaginary number anymore. It's just imaginary. And just like when we talk about quadratics, we write it in a certain order. We do the same thing for imaginary numbers. We write it in this order. The real number comes first and then the imaginary. So if we decide that we want to add or subtract two imaginary numbers, we basically treat it just like it was an x. So I'll do a few examples with you here. Let's add negative 1 plus 2i plus 3 plus 3i. So just like if the i's were x's, since there's a plus in here, I can drop the parentheses. So this would be negative 1 plus 2i plus 3 plus 3i. And then I'm going to go through and look for my like terms. I have a negative 1 and a positive 3, which is 2, and then positive 2i and positive 3i, which is 5i. So notice the I doesn't change, just the number in front. Okay, let's do a subtraction problem. So here's example 2. Parenthesis 2 minus 3i minus parenthesis 3 minus 7i. So this time, because there's a minus in between, I'm going to take this first one and subtract everything in the second one. So the first expression is going to stay the same, but this second expression, I have to change the sign of everything because I have to distribute the negative sign. So this becomes minus 3 plus 7i. Now I'm going to go through and look for my like terms. I have a positive 2 and a negative 3. That's negative 1. And then negative 3i and positive 7i makes plus 4i. The third example I'm going to do kind of puts a lot of things together here. So I've got 2i minus 3 plus I plus 2 minus 3i. So this part stays the same, but because there's a negative in front of this one, I have to distribute. And since there's a plus in front of this one, everything stays the same. Now I'm going to go through and put my like terms together. I have negative 3 and positive 2, which is negative 1. Positive 2i minus I is 1i. Subtract 3i is negative 2i. So that is how you add and subtract with imaginary numbers.